this was to be subjected to public opinion by members of the clan. That hasn't worked very well. I know that, because sometimes the chiefs and the assistant chief have actually seems to influence it. But later on, the policy that actually was recommended, and I would recommend that we go to that policy, is get enough finances and get a cutoff. Above that age, everybody gets it. And actually we worked, I think 3 years ago, when I was in Parliament, we worked with the Ministry of Labor at that time and worked out that if you increase the age to 70, we would be able to put enough money so that everybody above 70 gets the stipend without having to identify anybody, in which case you didn't have to know whether they have other income. And that is actually what should be going on. So if we do not have enough money, let's go by 70, take everybody, register every year, and give them the money. And that is actually what we need to do. And therefore, the registration process need not be so complex, but we can use all the registration we have, the way we do registration for voters, the way we do registration for IDs, particularly for IDs. Every year we know. And we can use electronic means of disbursing this money, because disbursement is another challenge. We are using banks now and agents of banks and e-cards. But again, sometimes the bazaars go and they don't get this money because either their fingerprints can no longer be read or the cards, and they don't get replaced. So people really suffer. So I think we need to actually streamline this. The 1,500 was actually the beginning point. But I think in 2008, there was a motion in Parliament here, I was in Parliament then, that actually recommended that we increase it from 1,500 to 2,000, which actually was implemented. I was in the ministry, we implemented it immediately. So I really ask our colleagues, this is the time, if we mean what we are saying, this is the budget time, let's put more money, and it can be calculated. How much money do we need for all our old people above 70? Put that money in the account. And then we must also look at what are the means of delivery. The banks, the agents, they should have a proper system where they go there, stay, as a member said, for 2 days, and they have not been paid. So they also, some of them need caretakers, because some of them are even blind. So again, this is a serious issue that we really need to look at. So I think we should digitalize the whole system. The registration should be automatic on age, and we should have a single registry. That was also in program, so that once you are in that registry, you do not get double dipping, because you go to the counties, they are also giving some money. You go to other ministries, you are getting some other social protection programs. The arid lands, there is also a cash transfer program. So if we go for a single registry, so that once you are in the registry, you actually get the money and there can be no duplication. I think, Madam Speaker, this is a program that we must support, and I will ask my colleagues in this budget. I'm a member of the Social Protection Committee. We are proposing more money. Let's get more money. Let's do regular registration. Let's do digital registration, and let's use modern digitalization to give this money to us. With that, Madam Speaker, I support and really congratulate the honorable member for bringing this before us. Thank you.
I don't have a mic. Thank you very much, Member for Seme. The Honorable Wanjiku Muya, Member for Kipipiri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And on the onset, I want to support this motion, first by congratulating the Honorable Member for bringing this motion to the House, which I think is timely in terms of this House having created a committee on social protection. Honorable Speaker, these aged people is a very special and delicate group which need special attention to be accorded to them. And I think it is time this House has to relook at the population versus the age. And when we identify that at the age of 65, the numbers are so huge that we can never increase the amount, which is Kenya shillings 2,000, then we may opt to increase the age bracket to 70 or thereabout, so that we can be able to increase the amount. Because, Honorable Speaker, honestly speaking, with the current economic standard today, 2,000 shillings per month is quite minimal. So this House may need, through the Committee of Social Protection, to relook at the age versus the population and come and give this House a solution, and we agree which is the current, the correct age that we should continue. We should also look at the budget, and as much as we fight for our roads, water, electricity, and all other social amenities, I think we should also look at this program with seriousness and allocate the budget that will be enough for this. The main animal on this matter is the disbursement of these funds. Honorable Speaker, you go to the constituencies and you find a 100-year-old man seated in a bank in a corner somewhere, and he came to withdraw 2,000, and because the fingerprints are not able even to show, he has to wait there. And I can say, without fear of contradiction, that this money doesn't also come very smoothly. So I think this House has to guide the country and the ministry by bringing a better and developing better means and ways of how this money can be disbursed. The country may think of a way, maybe a mobile money transfer, and we may even want to invest, maybe heavily invest once and for all, because we can even invest on purchase of mobile phone, the small one, or see how this money can reach the aged at their homestead instead of them traveling long distance. Having said that, there is another issue. Members have spoken of capacity building. This is another animal in this ministry, I can confirm. And I want to bring to the attention of these members that currently there is some activities going on. And I learned this when I was in my church on Sunday, when I had an announcement. And Honorable Speaker, you may not be aware, it could be happening in your county also. This ministry, through the Directorate of Social Assistance or Social Welfare, have sent their staffs to the ground in 20 counties to restructure the system. And it is a very sad affair. Honorable Speaker, I can tell you, I think the whole of yesterday I was struggling with the administration in Kipipiri constituency. I happened to be in my constituency doing bursary form issuance, and I saw a huge crowd, a stranded crowd in a certain stadium. And when I went, I found old men and women of 80 years, 90 years, 100, hungry, thirsty, under very harsh conditions of sun. There was no chief, there was no assistant chief, there was no ACC. I was struggling to find who is addressing these people. And I found 2 officers from this department, and they were telling me they are conducting election. Honorable Speaker, how can a 100-year-old man even know or conceptualize about election? And this election was to spearhead the matters. And I asked my DCC, can we call off these meetings? And these meetings be replanned? Because these meetings, ideally, they will still elect the caregivers. So it beats the logic that the caregivers will be elected, yet they came with their old parents. Why are we making our old parents struggle? They cannot even hear. The hearing system is broken at this age. Some cannot even see. Honorable Speaker, some were carried by border. I witnessed an old woman where a border could not climb a small trench and she fell down. I witnessed another one who just collapsed and fainted. because she was hungry, and I had to stop all my program for bursary and organize for energy drinks and something for these people to eat. They were coming from long distance. I want through this motion to call this ministry to order. Even if they do not have capacity, they should have humane eyes. They cannot conduct meetings for the old, for purported election, while the old cannot even afford to see, to hear, or even understand what the election is about. Honorable Speaker, we know the administrations are key pillars in this country. And when these kind of structures are to be administered, it is paramount that the ministry, through their directorate and their officers, should involve the administration like the chiefs, the DCC, the ACC, because these are the people who will give them the ideas. Officers like the directors are seated here in Nairobi, and they give guideline, they give timeline. Because when I inquired further, I was informed this process must end by Wednesday. We can't stop. And another meeting was happening in another location. They have to travel to the ward level, not even at sub-location level. So in essence, I'm saying there is need for capacity building. There is need for the directors in Nairobi to understand the ground, understand these are old people who cannot travel, who cannot vote. They have caregivers, and their caregivers can handle their matter. Finally, Honorable Speaker, as we look at the disbursement, it can also be a nightmare, because some of these caregivers also they take the money of the old and they squander. So it is also a very delicate issue. And I think that's why the government was coming out with the system of the bank. But again, the 100-year going all the way, maybe from Kipipiri to Orkalau, where we have the nearest bank, is also very troublesome. So I want to call the Committee on Social Protection to ban their midnight oil. Come out with better ways of disbursement, because this disbursement is a real issue. We call this ministry to order to stop making meetings which are designed for Nairobians or towns or the youth. They come up with the better plans, they give capacity, but also as a house, we allocate enough budget, because I also see they are so much overwhelmed. You find in a sub-county, this ministry has one staff who is handling more than 500 or 1,000 old people. So, Honorable Speaker, I also want to provoke the members' thoughts in terms of health care. I think as a government, especially through the county governments, we can also create a department for the old. Because you find a 90, 80 years old grandma going to the hospital is being attended by a very young man who even communication is a challenge. Because you know these young men and women, they are our sons and daughters, but they are quite in a hurry. So at times, they do not even get the right health care, because the old man or woman is getting shy, is feeling shy to express, to be undressed. And as a government and as a house, I think it's time we may come with a health care policy where we create a department for the old, and any old person who goes, let's say, to Kenyatta National Hospital, he know that he go to that specific department where they can be accorded fast-tracked services, and the right aged staffs can also handle them. With that, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you. I'll be putting a question to this House in the course of the week or next week in regard to these purported elections for the old, which is purely mistreatment. Thank you very much.
Very well spoken, member for Kipipiri. Honorable members, I would like to recognize students seated at the public gallery from St. Monica Munyaka Girls Secondary, Kieni constituency, Nyeri County. I would like to welcome you to the National Assembly so that you may continue following proceedings of the House. Thank you, honorable members. The next opportunity goes to the Honorable Joshua Mwalio, member for Masinga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity that you have granted me to speak on the reintroduction of continuous registration of elderly persons in our society. First, I would like to thank the Honorable Zambia for this great motion that he has brought to this House so that we can debate about our elderly people. First of all, it is very important to know that everybody in this house, whether young or old, one day you will become elderly. And it is good to take care of ourselves when we will reach that age. So for us to put something in this government, in fact, it should be a law that everybody who attains at the age of 70